What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Run Your Mouth podcast. We're here coming to you, not live from the Gas Digital Studios. I just did the legendary Under St. Mark's Comedy Festival with Mike Lemmy, and I had a good old time. We've got Yosef calling in. It's his birthday. He's out in White Plains. He's celebrating hard. He's, getting all drunk, eating sandwiches. So we're gonna get some insights from him. But before I have him on the show, I want to get into some politics. I want to rattle off some of the news stories that happened this week. Harrington, before we get into politics, firstly, I'd like to welcome you to the show. You've become the most loyal soldier to the Run Your Mouth institution, and I want to take this moment to say that I appreciate having you here.
Buddy, it's not an army; it's a movement, and I'm proud to be the first lieutenant of said movement. We're taking over, buddy.
Yeah, and we got to figure out, because I did a podcast last week, which was really good, with the guys from the Heartland Institute. But I ended up calling into my own show because I couldn't find the wire to... I went out and I bought myself an expensive mic so that I could record from home, and within 1 week, I lost the wire. I'm still a second grader. 1 week, I lost the wire. Now I have... And there's no way I'm ever going to go online and find the specific wire that I need for the Yeti microphone.
You could 100% go online and find the specific wire that you need. I'm your producer. Tell me what the microphone is, and I'll find the wire for you.
You know what? This might be an off-air conversation and an easy solution, so that's good to know. Hopefully, I'll have my Yeti microphone back up and running. But when I recorded it, I thought, hey, this audio is going to be fine. And then I listened back to it. I was like, man, this is really weird to have called into my own show. But it was a great episode.
All right. Well, I do have the audio sitting in my Gmail drive, and I promised you that I would get around to editing that as soon as humanly possible. So how about tomorrow? I'll come in early and I will bang that out. Get that sounding as good as humanly possible, even though you are calling into your own show.
It's already up, but we can swap it out.
Okay.
All right. Good enough. Okay. So let's get into some of the politics here.
Before we do that,
okay,
I have like a much greater. Like, politics are great, Robbie. You are a man who sticks to your convictions 100% when it comes to, libertarianism and anarcho-capitalism and all the very important things that you think about. However, you do not stand by your word when it comes to lifetime boycotting of a certain institution. I was just stuffing my face and mid-biting to one of the most delicious sandwiches I've ever had. I had to ask you, what bodega was this from? In fact, sir, it was not just any bodega. It wasn't a bodega at all. It was a full-fledged deli. You're back at Sonny and Annie's. Congratulations on letting the hate out of your heart. Is this the first step of you being just slightly less petty, Robbie Bernstein?
Harrington, their sandwiches were just too good. I thought I was done with it. I thought I was going to stick to my ban, and I did. 7 full months I stuck to that ban. You know what broke the ban? It was two things. One is, like any relationship, you're done with some chick, and then you're really hammered late at night, and they're also awake, and so you stop in.
You sent the 1 a.m. text to Sonny and Annie's?
No, it was like a 2 a.m. text when I was drunk, and I was like, I just need, and then I right away when you hop back into bed with that chick that you were really in love with, you're like, that's why it was this good.
It hurt so much in the first place.
But however, that was like I want to say that was like a month and a half ago, but I stuck to the ban. What finally gave is I just went through another breakup with the LOL Comedy Club, and I needed something to fill that hole, Harrington. I needed something to get me through that. That was a 10-year relationship. The Times Square unpaid check spot king, retiring my jersey, back to eating at Sunny and Annie's. That relationship's back up and going. I've already eaten
Sunny and Annie's. What? They are not they're not the enemies of the Shiite Muslims, right? It's Sunny and Annie's.
They're too Asian for it to be Sunny and Annie's. It's Sunny and Annie's.
That would be like Soon Yi and Annie's.
All right, that's a fair point. Sonny and Annie's.
Yeah, dude, they're Americanized as all hell. You were just talking about that for the thing.
Yeah, that lady got herself some great teeth.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm still going with Sunny and Annie's. That's what it is in my head. Case settled. All right, moving on into the politics. Before I delve into the politics, we do have a number of news stories. Harrington, anything that you wanted to get off your chest? Are you still moving to Massachusetts? How's finding a permanent residence? I've given the update of what's going on with me. Do you have them? If it's not chipper, then we can skip it. I feel like we've given the fans too much bad news, except that we're bearing our shame and good sandwiches. Do you have anything uplifting for the people out there?
Well, All right, the guy didn't get back to me in Massachusetts.
Okay.
I'm going to keep sending him emails.
But he smokes weed, so he might, like if you get a follow-up call 2 weeks from now, you'll get a call at the end of winter being like, hey man, we're like, aren't you going to come up here for the winter?
It's spring now.
Yeah.
I think, here's the thing. I really do think the better route to be taking would be to do exactly what you have talked about for the last 2 winters with me and just set up a network of ski resorts that we can just take a traveling roadshow to. So, and then maybe go back there in the spring when it's a little bit warmer out and shack life might not be that bad. And then just go out there, take the rolling mower to it, get everything all, ready to go and turn it into the sickest campground on the East Coast.
Are you thinking about putting together a ski tour?
Yeah, dude. Obviously.
I want in. That's been a dream of mine.
Yeah, obviously. Now that you have a car, we can actually do this.
Yeah, I really, I love skiing. I love doing comedy. Yeah. And also, I know that there's a captive audience and that there's absolutely nothing to do at night after a day of skiing. If anyone's skiing, they have money. And then here's the best part about skiers. They're my kind of people. That's one of the things about doing stand-up comedy. You get in front of, people that don't see life in the same way as you do, and you got to kind of win them over to your point of view. You get me up in front of a room full of skiers. Those are my people, dude. I want to build that crowd.
You can talk skier?
Oh, I can talk. It's not skier. It's just druggy white kids that also like have an outdoors attitude. That's it. Instant connection. It's like, people got their Eskimo brothers. You bang the same chick. So you kind of know you got a similar vibe. You can pull down like a similar... It's the same thing with the ski mountain. We've all fucked the ski mountain.
Okay.
We're all in love with the same thing.
I like it, dude. So that's like you're like the league kind of made this famous. Like Taco would just get by being Eskimo brothers with everybody. Like
exactly.
Once you guys have shredded some nar, it's like, all right, cool. We're fucking,
We all share that mountain love.
I love it.
All right, fair enough. So first thing I want to talk about is Elizabeth Warren's healthcare plan. And Harrington is a guy who almost reads... Why don't you give us your take? It was big in the news this week. Give us your 1 minute. What is the layman's takeaway from the Elizabeth Warren healthcare plan?
All right. So as far as I understand it, it is all of the free healthcare for all of the people, and it's only going to cost $11 trillion, and we have no idea where that money's coming from.
All right. You see, and that right there is why this thing is never going to work, because she couldn't sell it, and I'm going to break down why she couldn't sell it. Okay, so first is, I threw out this joke, which was, she was saying this line over and over. That's right, we don't need to raise taxes on the middle class by 1 penny. She kept saying that. We're not going to have to raise it by 1 penny.
It's going to be 1,000,000 pennies.
That's what it's going to be. It is 100% when you were a kid and someone said, oh, it's $1 million. I bet $1 million. There's no reason for her to specifically keep saying not by 1 penny, and it's because, yeah, she's not going to raise it by 1 penny. She's going to raise it by 95% of what your income was and go, well, that's what it takes for us to have health insurance, but health insurance is important. All right. So here is why she went and she fucked up. When it comes to politics, you never want to give the details. You're selling magic sauce. I can't do this as a sales guy. People want to know the specifics. I'll get into the weeds, but they say you don't want to open up a can of worms. And Trump did it the best. They asked him, hey, you're never going to pay for the wall. And so he doubled down and he said, well, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. He never once gave the details. And guess what? He still hasn't built us a wall, and no one's that upset with him about it. They still go, hey, he's my best option in terms of dealing with this, dealing with the fact that there are people coming into this country and it's shifting the demographics of what I'm looking for.
Not only that, it's like, he might build that wall someday.
He might. He still might.
It might happen.
And it's because he has yet to sit down and go, here's the numbers for why this will never work. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren, she blinked. That's what happens. You go out there and you're selling, and you go, I can solve this, I can solve this, I can solve this. And people go, how? And you go, well, I just will. And if you can just play that confidence game so well, where you just go, I just will, because I'm me, and because people like me get things done.
But how do I vote for that person?
Well, that's the point. Once you blink and you go, here's how I'm going to do it, you're fucked in the political game. And I'm telling you, it's sales. It's all about just going, listen, I can do it. You just have to trust me. I can get it done. And everyone's going to say, how can you get it done? Those are the doubters. And guess what? When you go, well, let me give you the details, now you're playing their game. You blinked. You're finished. So let's go into just how bad her healthcare plan was and why she failed to sell it. Okay, so first is, I think a lot of people are just nervous about, even Obamacare, when Obamacare was sold, it was, hey, you know that thing that you already have, or you know that thing that most other people have, but you can't get. So we figured out a way that we're going to make it affordable for everyone. But he wasn't saying, hey, there's going to be a totally new form of healthcare. He was saying, hey, that healthcare that's already working for a lot of people, but you just can't afford, I'm going to make it affordable. I feel like I'm losing you here.
Sorry, what?
Well, what's going on out there? What's all the kids?
There's a reason I killed there's a reason I killed the mic. You were in the middle of a flow here. I don't want to interrupt you.
I want you on my side, Harrington.
I'm 100% on your side, Robbie. Why are you always questioning whether or not I'm on your side? I'm your biggest supporter. I'm the only one here at 10:30 at night. Fucking Joseph Roberts will go all the way up to Massachusetts, but he can't make it across town. Fucking Joseph is probably hammered in a ditch somewhere. I'm here for you. Just accept it.
All right. Well, it seemed like you guys were addressing custodial needs or something while I was trying to explain the reason that Elizabeth Warren's health care plan won't work. Okay. So here's the other thing. Trump is actually the less risky proposition, because if Trump just makes any claims along the lines of here's what I'm going to do to improve healthcare, at least he's building off of something that you kind of somewhat know and trust. When Elizabeth Warren steps in and she goes, listen, anyone who has healthcare, you're not going to be able to have that version of this anymore. We're all going to have this government healthcare. That's scary to people. People don't know, what does government healthcare really look like? And now here's where government has somewhat shot itself in the foot in terms of being able to sell us on, yes, I would like government to have more influence over stuff. And that's in most of the cases, when we interact with public institutions, when we interact with the law, it's not a positive experience. If you ever had to go to the DMV to get yourself a license, it is not a fun experience. You don't go in there and go, hey, I'm really happy that government's running this. The government does this well. You know what I mean here? Like, you do not walk out of the DMV going, wow, the government's really good at this.
This is a really efficient experience, and I trust that I should be going here for the rest of my life for all of my needs.
Yeah, like, this is exactly the kind of people that I want dealing with my healthcare. When you deal with cops, no one's like, yay, I'm so happy there are cops in my neighborhood. Like, you'd almost rather deal with a little bit of crime. Well, at least if you're a drinker. I'm mostly thinking about the fear of getting pulled over for drunk driving and ruining your life. But most of us do drink and we drive a little bit. But I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Government hasn't really sold us on, hey, I want them to have full control over some of these things. And so Elizabeth Warren coming around and saying, hey, we're going to totally change the way that this is done and it's going to be under government control, I don't think that really appeals to people. So now I want to get into some of the specific things that she was saying, because I actually read her whole document. So I just want to read some of the claims that she made and kind of break them down. Serious candidates for president should speak plainly about these issues and set out their plans for cost control, especially those who are skeptical of Medicare for all, because whether or not we make modest or transformative changes to our healthcare system, cancer, diabetes, strokes, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's aren't going to simply disappear without leadership. So I just want to read the first part of this again. Serious candidates for president should speak plainly about these issues and set out their plans for cost control. Okay. And then she goes on to explain how her plan is going to work. Under the first year of Medicare for all employers would then take the average cost, adjusted upwards to account for the overall increase in national healthcare spending, and multiply it by their total number of employees that year. Their employer medical contribution would be the 98% of that amount, ensuring that every company paying for healthcare today will pay less than they would have if they were still offering their employees comparable private insurance. Now, I'm a reasonably intelligent individual. Mike Harrington, you have the face of a bookie and you're autistically good at math. Did any of that paragraph make sense to you?
Absolutely not, buddy.
No,
I'm sorry.
Me neither. And I've read it 3 times to be like, what is she saying here? So here's her clear and concise plan. Anyone who's running needs to put forth a clear and concise plan. This is like a fucking Monty Python joke of, if I sat down to try and write what wasn't a concise plan, I wouldn't have come up with something that read as goofy as this. I'm going to read it again. You ready? Under the first year of Medicare for all, employers would then take the average cost, adjust it upwards to account for the overall increase in national healthcare spending, and multiply it by their total number of employees that year. Their employee Medicare contribution would be 98% of that amount. I don't know. Maybe someone with a better math mind can follow the formula.
I think what they're saying is we're going to jack rates all the way up, and the middle class Americans aren't going to pay for it. It's going to be all the small businesses that are going to pay for it because they are going to. So it's like, if you have 10 employees, right, we're going to say, we need to up what you have for medical coverage for this employee, and then we're going to increase it exponentially to cover costs for the rest of the country, and then we're going to multiply that by 10 employees because fuck you, small business.
You lost me also. It's
this plan is insane.
Okay, so now here's a scary other part of her plan. You read through her plan, and part of what she says is, in order to pay for this, we're going to need more forced enforcement. Let me read it. Part of her plan is substantially increased funding for the IRS, including the Criminal Investigation Division. The Treasury Department estimated in the fiscal year 2017 budget request that every $1 invested in IRS enforcement brings in nearly $6 in additional revenue. So part of her plan is we're going to give more money to the IRS so they can hire people to go after us and make sure that we're really all paying more in taxes. How scary is that?
Dude, I mean, it sounds like I could just go get a job at the IRS. I don't have to worry about any of this anymore.
Well, buddy, if you should just get yourself a job.
No, what I'm saying, check it, right? I can take my skills that I already have, being like a person who leans on other people for money, being like,
you'll be like, I'm a mooch, so let me show you how to get more out of these people. Doggy. No one's better at sucking resources out of individuals than I am. Like,
why
listen,
am I not working for the IRS?
Yeah, you'd be like, listen, IRS, you guys are looking at this all wrong. Instead of, they don't have any more money that you can take from them, but you're looking for housing from the homeless. Why not just put them on their couches? They have couches. I know they all have a couch available. They might not have more money that you can take from them, but they got food in their fridge. Have you gone into their fridge and taken their food and slept on their couches? Well, then there's more than we can be taken from these people.
Just sandwich
Frankly,
taxes.
I don't think they're being hospitable. That's what I think the issue is. All these people, they've paid their taxes. Now they think they can just have their house, their own fridge, and their own couch. I don't think so.
No, you have clean towels in there. People need showers.
This is a terrible distribution of resources when people like me are out on the streets and don't have. There are walls between me and the resources I need. Listen, these people are sleeping all night. They won't even know that I'm on their couch and using their showers.
Tear down those walls.
And then later she goes on to say, I'm asking billionaires to pitch in 6 cents of every dollar, which I love. It's like, just pitch in. It's not like we're going to hire more IRS people to forcibly take it from you. We just want the billionaires to pitch in a little bit more. So here's one more element that I just want to point to in terms of her plan. So I read through it, and she does have some good criticisms of the current healthcare system. So one is that the cost of some procedures here and in other countries are like drastically different. I think one of her examples was CAT scans and heart surgery. Like some things that we pay, like, $25,000 for here might cost you $2,000 or $3,000 in another country. So that's fair. I agree with you 100%. There's something strange going on here.
There's nothing strange. It's just the push and pull for years of the established system of the private insurance company going to the hospital saying it's priced at $25,000, but the hospital's only getting like $4,000.
Yeah, which is the weirdest thing that, like, if me as a private individual who doesn't have insurance needs to be spending there's something screwy with the pricing. But I just want to go through, there are some criticisms that she has of the healthcare system that's legitimate. So the first is that pricing is out of whack. The next is that there's crazy administrative costs, which is true. There's an insane billions of dollars being spent basically on just the administrative costs. Then you have insurance companies have high profits. And then what you were saying, which is everyone is paying different amounts. So now here's why she's fucked. And I think, by the way, because beyond the fucking Pocahontas thing and her being a little bit unlikable, I think this healthcare thing completely shot her in the foot of possibly winning the election, because this is a big part of what she's running on. And here's the biggest problem. There are definite problems with our healthcare, and offering healthcare to Americans is definitely a free good that will get you elected. It's a big part of what got Obama elected, is saying, hey, here's a free good I'm going to give you guys if you vote for me. But she rolled out this plan, and everyone needs healthcare. There are major flaws in the system. She rolled out the plan, and nobody's excited for it. Nobody looked at her plan and said, hey, I think she fixed this problem. Nobody. And so this is even from the Slate. Slate, I never read Slate. I'm pretty sure that they're ultra-liberal, but here's even what they said about her plan. Firstly, I think the article was later. Here's why her plan isn't fair. But the first line was, one, as I wrote Friday, it is that its budget assumptions might not be very realistic. So even the people on the far left who are never bringing up, hey, we have to pay for things, and like they're very socialist and like, hey, government can provide this for people, even they are like, hey, this plan is unrealistic. Then another deeper issue, which a number of writers, not to mention Warren's primary rival Bernie Sanders, have pointed out, it's that the centerpiece of her proposal is fundamentally unfair to many businesses and workers. It's specifically a raw deal for companies that already offer their employees generous insurance, as well as for low-wage workers who would somewhat indirectly shoulder a disproportionate share of the burden from the tax scheme she has concocted. So in other words, even on the people on the far left, they're not excited about this. And I got some sales rules for you. Harrington, you like sales rules. You ready for this?
Love some sales rules.
All right, here's the first one. Time kills deals. That's number one. Number two is it's easiest to close people on the first call. Now, here's the concept. When you first present something to someone, what you need to close a deal is for...
What? I'm listening to you. Listen to every word.
Alex is looking at me like, why did he just rape my hand by making me grab his titty?
Oh, dude, it was hot.
Okay. It's easiest to close things on a first call because sales is a transfer of energy. I'm excited about something, and so here, I'm going to share my excitement with you. Hopefully, I can get you as enthusiastic about this as I am, and then now we've got a sale. She's trying to sell her idea here. She just put out her presentation about what's one of the biggest issues facing our country, and nobody's buying it. Nobody goes, oh, she sat down and she's come up with a reasonable solution. The sale of her trying to convince us that this is a good approach will only get harder as time goes on. This was her biggest and best opportunity to go, here's my presentation, and for people to go, hey, that sounds interesting. She's already lost. The fact that she put it forward now and nobody's excited about it, she's not going to convert people. There's no follow-up game in this kind of a sale that it's going to start settling into people's minds and they're going to go, hey, this is interesting. If anything, we're going to have more time to kind of get into the weeds and look at the details and to get reinforced on the fact that nobody can ever pay for it. So I'm just telling you from the fact that generally speaking, everyone actually understands, hey, we can't pay for this. Hey, I don't want government to take away my health care. I don't want to have to only be on a government option. I don't believe that my taxes aren't going to go up. Nobody's buying it. She's made this the signature part of what she's running on. And so I'm saying it right now, Mr. Harrington, I think she's finished.
Isn't she still second in the polls though?
I think she's only going to drop from here. I really thought she was, I think she was pulling ahead, and I think based off of this blunder of her trying to put out the details of her plan, I think it's actually unlikely that she'll take the Democratic nomination.
What about, though, you were saying the concept of, Obamacare, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you any details. I'm just telling you that everybody's going to have health care, right? And that's all he ran on. That's all he understood as a broke... at the time, I think 20-year-old who had no health insurance. That sounded fucking awesome to me.
But it went beyond that because he didn't say you're going to get government health care. He said, hey, that health care that everyone has, that's great. I'm going to get it for you.
Okay. The flip side of it, though, to me, like you said, the only one who has anything like that they're offering that I don't understand how it's possible, but I want it more than anything in the world, Yang Gang, baby.
Oh, the $1,000...
Give me those Yang bucks, dude. Just give me a fucking... Dude,
give me those Yang bucks.
I'm dumb as shit, right? Yeah. All I understand is that right now, I don't have $1,000 a month coming in. If I did, I could probably have a house. So Yang, hook it up. That's as simple as it is. Yo, for my vote, that's where it's going. Because he's the only one who's coming out and saying, yo, I'll give you a G-stack.
Yeah, and what's funny about the everyone's trying to buy votes. Everyone's trying to appeal to a specific demographic and get them to vote for them. Sometimes on the Republican side, it's as simple as, hey, we're going to give you back a little bit more of your money. And on the Democratic side, it's, hey, we're going to get you this group of people.
Those guys.
Yeah, we're going to get you some free stuff. We're going to get you the health care. What's funny about this $1,000 a month is everyone just goes, No, that sounds a little too direct. It's almost like when I'm past this in life, but it used to be when your relatives would like first they tried giving you gifts, then they realized they always gave you shitty gifts and you never liked it, so then they gave you gift cards, and then at some point they gave up and just said, I'll just give you the cash. But there's something like even so, there's something that's not as gift-givey about being handed cash, even though we all appreciate it a little more. There's something that erodes like that flavor of, hey, I'm giving you a gift. I think it's the same thing in terms of the government just handing, not for you. I'm not talking about homeless Mike Harrington, who needs nothing more than $1,000 in his pocket and doesn't care what the ramifications are and just goes, give me that fucking $1,000. I'm talking about most people can just understand that for government to just go, hey, here's $1,000 and start giving it to people, they're like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Couldn't care less. Give me that G-Stack.
Yeah, fair enough. The other big news story here was that we have Big Daddy's death. They took the guy down, and then the group's new spokesperson announced that Big Daddy's successor is a man named Abu Ibrahim El Asimi Al Qurayshi. There's no way I got that right. I'm going to try it again, and I'm not, you almost need a Sesame Street guy on how you can pronounce these names. Abu Ibrahim Al Hashimi Al Qurayshi. That sounds like a Mexican like a Chinese dish at the end. Al Qurayshi. And if I was like that dude, I'd be like, no, I'm number 2. I'm not the number 1 guy. Can you put someone else in charge? I would think right after like the number 1 guy got killed, you wouldn't show up the next day and be like, all right, here's the new guy that's in charge. You keep that under wraps.
Oh, fuck that. They can't get us all.
Oh, okay, maybe. Now,
if I'm leading a terrorist organization, if you're the number 2 guy in a terrorist organization, that has to be the happiest day of your life.
You're like, now I'm number 1? I think it's scary. Nah. I think you're like, I don't want to be in charge of this. I like being number 2. Okay.
Dude, if they were going to take me out, it would have been a coordinated strike where they would have taken out the top 5 heads all at once, right? Now I get my time in the sun. Finally, people are going to see that my big ideas have been fucking what's going to drive this movement forward. And this asshole's just been holding me back. I'm glad he got eaten to death by dogs.
All right, so McKenzie, I think he was like the general in charge of this mission. He offered fresh details on the operation against Baghdadi and warned that U.S. officials are bracing for some form of retribution. We're on no illusion that ISIS is going to go away just because we killed Baghdadi, McKenzie told reporters at a Wednesday briefing. And I got to say, I find this entire situation a little bit confusing, considering Trump declared ISIS 100% defeated years ago. It's becoming a little hard to keep track of what exactly is going on there. Now, here was another fun statement by McKenzie. We believe that Baghdadi may have actually fired from his hole in his last minute. McKenzie said he cannot corroborate President Trump's description of Baghdadi whimpering and crying as he fled into the tunnel. And couldn't we just give Trump that? Like, did you really need to clarify that one? Like, just let Trump have this one. Trump goes, hey, the guy went out crying, and then, well, actually, it was more Rambo-esque. He took out the majority of the team. He had some great booby traps. He nearly got away, but one of our snipers luckily caught him. Like, just let Trump have his crying and whimpering line. If anything, it makes the terrorists look bad. Aren't you in the business of trying to shame terrorists out of the game?
No.
Why do you got to build his story and go, hey, actually... The president was wrong. He went out swinging. He was pretty cool about it. It was Tony Montana style. He actually said the words, say hello to my little friend, shot 6 of our Navy SEALs, and then we shot him. But we all thought it was pretty cool. We're all like, all right, you got to give props to that guy.
You killed the best man at my wedding, but goddamn, if you aren't a beautiful son of a bitch. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
No, they're not in the business of making Trump look like a badass. They're in the exact opposite business. These are the same motherfuckers who came out, making terrorists seem unsympathetic. They're the same guys who came out and called him like a misunderstood religious scholar or whatever the case may be in the Washington Post. On top of that, the only person who was injured, the only combatant injured in the raid. Do you know who it is, Robbie Bernstein? It is a dog who the...
Oh, that was the one that they were going to bring to the White House or whatever?
And the SEAL team would like to get him his own Purple Heart. And they're saying, no, we can't give a Purple Heart to a dog. And former Purple Heart recipients are sending in letters to the president saying, give the fucking dog a medal.
Yeah, everything... The second I just saw, like, dog and story about dogs, I was like, unless they're going to make an Air Bud story type about it.
Well, see, here's what's fucking awesome and how you know that Trump is actually right. Because if you were being chased down a hole with your children in tow and you were literally being hunted down by dogs, would you not be fucking crying as these dogs literally ripped you limb from limb? I'd fucking cry my eyes out. Obviously, any normal person would.